Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the MLB DFS Core Pick video for today, Friday, May 3rd. If you're joining me for the very first time, this is the way today's video will be structured. We will not going over a recap of yesterday's picks since there was not a video yesterday due to the early slate start time. But we'll start off with a quick low weather report, so any games that do have double-digit chance of rain or higher for the main slate for tonight. Then after that, we'll get moved over to my core picks, which is going to be over on FanDuel. And it's going to be one pitcher and four hitters. It's going to be based on a combination of past performance versus their respective matchup, as well as recent history. And then last but not least, we'll get moved over to my MLB DFS cheat sheet for tonight's slate, which will be up on the Sports Affiliation website. It is 100% free. And we'll be talking about my top GPP teams to stack for tonight's slate overall. But without further ado, we'll get started with that weather report over on RotoWire. So the only two games that we'll be watching tonight in terms of the main slate, we have the Cleveland Guardians, Los Angeles Angels. 78% chance to rain out in Cleveland, so pretty decent shot there. This is probably the most likely game to get rained out on tonight's main slate overall. And then we move down to Minnesota. 13% chance of rain out in Minnesota for that Twins and Red Sox game overall. But those are really the only two that we have at this point in time. If anything does majorly change throughout the day, we'll leave it down in the comments below. But without further ado, we'll get moved over to FanDuel and talk about my core picks over there. So once again, it is going to be one pitcher, four hitters. It's going to be based on a combination of past performance versus their respective opponents, as well as recent history. So we're going to start off at the pitcher position. There is a lot of high-end guys out there tonight, so if you want to play somebody a little bit different, pay up at that spot. Definitely makes some sense. But right now, I'm Michael Lorenzen here. He is $8,500, averaging about 28 fantasy points per game. Only 3 starts so far on the young season. He did sign kind of late with the Texas Rangers. Does have some decent upside, some decent history versus the Kansas City Royals in the past. Last year in the 3 starts versus the Royals, he had 40 points twice and then one 17-point performance versus them. So some pretty decent upside to be had there at that. And then we're going to go down to first baseman with Freddie Freeman. He's $3,400. He's averaging just under 11 fantasy points per game on the season. A little bit lower than we probably would expect from Freddie Freeman. But he is 10 for 20 in his career versus Charlie Morton. And that does include 3 home runs. So some pretty good history there. Freddie Freeman has at least one hit in 10 out of his last 7 games. 4 of those have been multi-hit games as well. If you look at what he's done so far in the season, it's 292 average, 2 home runs, 19 RBIs. And like I mentioned before, just under 11 fantasy points per game. Then we'll move down to third base with Rafael Devers. He is $3,200. He has some very, very short sample size versus Chris Paddock in his career. 2 for 2 versus him, though. And he also has at least one hit in 10 out of his last 11 games. 3 of those games have been multi-hit games, so some pretty significant upside there at that. If you look at what Devers has done so far in the season, 286 average, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, averaging just under 10 fantasy points per game at this point in time. Then we're going to move down to the outfield. We got Juan Soto at $4,300, and he is 2 for 2 with 2 home runs in his career versus Reese Olson. So some really good history there. 10-game hitting streak. 3 of those games have been multi-hit games. And then if you look at what Juan Soto has done so far on this season, it is a .331 average, 8 home runs, 25 RBIs, averaging 14.5 fantasy points per game. And then last but not least, I typically don't like to do this, but we threw a guy down the utility spot in the low for the Texas Rangers. And he's had a pretty solid start to the year. You know, he's hitting .316, 1 home run, 2 RBIs. Obviously, like you see the power numbers be up a little bit more just in general, averaging just 10 fantasy points per game. And in his career, he has 2 for 8 with 1 home run versus Brady Singer. And he has at least one hit in 8 out of his last 10 games. 4 of those games have been multi-hit games as well. So there's some pretty decent upside for Nate Lowe tonight. And then, with that being said, if you go with the 5 players that do currently have listed, you have $12,800 remaining, $3,200 exactly per player. Mainly, I pay down at the pitcher position because of the 2 guys with a really good history in the past, and Freddie Freeman and Juan Soto. So, trying to take advantage of those guys tonight, just in general. But obviously, if you want to play up at pitcher, you can definitely do that at the same time as well. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to my cheat sheet and talk about my top teams to stack for tonight's slate overall. So the first 2 are going to be going against each other. We got the Los Angeles Braves going against Gavin Stone of the Dodgers. They roughed them up pretty good last year when they faced them, so there's definitely a chance that could happen once again tonight. Not a long list history there in the past, although they did hit him pretty well in the one lone start that he had against them last season. And then we have the Los Angeles Dodgers going against Charlie Morton. A lot of these guys have hit him pretty well in the past. You know, whether it's Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Teoscar Hernandez, a couple other guys here and there as well. And then last but not least, we have the Padres. They are going against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Slade Cecconi is on the mound. Not a very proven pitcher, at least at this point in time. So could be some decent upside there to be had just in general. But with that being said, that's pretty much what I do have in terms of the weather report, the core picks, and the top GPP stacks for tonight's main slate. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. I will also be listing any other major updates that do come out throughout the day down in the comments as well. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, we have the MLB DFS Core Pick videos coming out Monday through Friday. And then I also do have my UFL DFS video content coming out once a week. So if that's something you're into, definitely be sure to check that out as well. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS, Prize Picks, and Parlay Play. If you are a brand new user to any one of those three sites, when you sign up, you make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Parlay Play and Prize Picks, it's a 100% match on your initial deposit up to $100. And then for BetUS, it's a 125% match on your first deposit up to $2,500. So some pretty good opportunities to be had out there. And then with that being said, if you have any questions related to this whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comments or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport. I'd be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in MLB DFS tonight.